Hi everybody, Brian here. This is Class A Plus English, and we're going to continue today with the third stream of 80 Days, which is an adaptation of the novel 80 Days Around the World by Jules Verne, yeah? But it's got a kind of a steampunk twist to it, okay? I hope everybody's well. It's Friday the 29th of August, oh my god, it's the last weekend of August. Monday is the 1st of September, and I am back to work. So, yay! Okay, let's get into the game. All right, the last day we arrived in St. Petersburg. Okay, here we are. Just going to show you really quickly. I was looking earlier on. Where is St. Petersburg? Well, let's have a look. There we go. There you go. There's St. Petersburg. Right up in the north, kind of west of Russia, I suppose, near Estonia. Helsinki is just there. Somewhere I'd like to visit, but obviously it's not possible anytime soon, unfortunately. But there you go. Alright, let's get back into it. So there is St. Petersburg. I think it's changed names a few times, hasn't it? Okay, let's go check out the market. I've forgotten what we've got. What do we got? We've got some wool trousers. We've got the altimeter. We've got some cards. Kalevala, a copy of the Finnish mythological epic, neatly bound in reindeer hide. It's worth 3,000. Ooh. An elastic wallet, unstealable, could be good. Fur-lined boots, because we're going to go north this time. Okay. And we've got a fur coat. Alright, what's this? Knitted gloves. Let's go for it. Okay, what can we do? Can we explore? Our completed cold climate set should protect against the cold. Okay, great. Let's go and check out a hotel. So it's Sunday, no, it's Monday. Okay, Monday morning. We took a room and settled in, and I starched the collars of our shirts. I went to stretch my legs. I'm going to go stretch my legs, go for a walk. Yeah, the expression to stretch my legs, you know, I don't know if you ever travel like on a coach or an airplane. You know, you get very stiff, don't you? You want to stretch your legs, go for a little walk. I went to stretch my legs only to have someone dip their hand into my pocket. I did not see the culprit, but my elastic wallet, woo, saved the day. A pickpocket, we call this. A person who tries to steal your wallet, your phone, your passport. A pickpocket. You've got to pick a pocket or two. So, the elastic wallet saved us. Can we go anywhere? Wow, what's up here? Well, that's pretty north, isn't it? Pretty hard journey. Okay, maybe not. Moscow. The quickest way to Ekaterinburg is through Moscow. What's down here? Minsk. There's a road from Minsk to the edge of the Black Sea. I want to go here, so we're going to go to Moscow, everybody. Train departs from Moscow in 4 days. Some buyers will pay well for pocket altimeters. Okay, I think it's being adjusted. The fur coat from our Russian gentleman's wardrobe should spur them on. Okay, we're going to pay, and we're going to go in 2 days. Your journey around the world in 14 days and counting. Traveled 748 miles by sea, 739 by land, and 502 by air. I'm a dependable character. So, who am I? My name is Passepartout. and I am the valet, the assistant for Mr. Fogg here. With the last light of the evening, so that it's twilight, it's dusk. I washed and hung our linen. I went out to explore a little. Well, the last time I went out to explore, to stretch my legs, somebody tried to pickpocket me, so let's do some laundry. I washed and hung to hang the clothes on the line to ensure everything was shipshape. Everything was perfect for our upcoming departure. Minsk, Moscow. Then we're going to go here. My mother had a wonderful time aboard the freight train. Then, I reckon, we're going to try to head for Vladivostok, which is here. This is where we're going to try and get to. Then maybe over to Japan. And I don't know, we're going to see what we can get. We'll get out to Vladivostok first anyway, yeah? That's the main idea. Okay, hotel. I want to go for a walk this time. As night fell, I polished our shoes to polish and hat brims. I ran a few errands. I went out to explore. I ran a few errands. He wanted me to go and buy some milk or something. Let's go and do this for the hotelier. As night fell, I ran a few errands for the hotelier, earning £40, as well as overhearing from him that an aunt worked in Ekaterinburg just before the Trans-Siberian Express to Omsk suffered a fire. Most intriguing, most curious. Can I go? Okay, good, let's go. We're off to Moscow, everyone. 2 p.m. the Tsar's finger to Moscow. The luggage rack has space for 2 suitcases, which will suffice. We have cold weather. This promises to be a bothersome route, but the cold climate should set us to rights. We'll be fine. 100%. This is the boss. The line from St. Petersburg to Moscow was affectionately known as the Tsar's finger, and ran perfectly straight, apart from a bend near the city of Novgorod. The story went that the route was drawn by the Tsar. Told it's not worth repeating. Let's find out the story. But the route was drawn by the Tsar with a ruler, except where he drew around his own fingertip. Haha, that was ludicrous. That's a crazy story. That's not true. But this was ludicrous, obviously, and it seemed more likely that the steep mountainsides were more to blame than any stray imperial digits. Let's converse. Greetings, Monsieur Panfilov. I am traveling on business of the highest order. Okay. Ekaterinburg. Speaking of trains, I understand my friend used to talk about the Beijing Express from Urga to Hong Kong. Hong Kong, you say? Hear this, some buyers will pay well for pocket altimeters from Hong Kong. What about Hong Kong to Singapore? My good man, merchants in San Pedro will pay huge amounts for handheld mirrors from Singapore. Well, thank you for your advice. Urga, Beijing, Hong Kong. Urga could be interesting, right? The train was comfortable enough. I spent my first day aboard playing canasta in conversation, watching the scenery go by, and relaxing. Even a valet must take time off. We settled down for the night. Here we are. The train was stopped twice before reaching Moscow. The first time it was searched for artificers equipment, and the second time they search for weaponry. It seems the Russians do not take risks. It seems the Russian police like to police. And here we were, only a few days into our long trek, our long journey across the continent. Unfortunately, one of the other passengers decided to put up a fight, insisting they would not open their suitcase. A standoff commenced. I avoided Monsieur Fogg's eye. I got to my feet. No. Let's avoid his look, knowing that he would only ask me to resolve the situation. The soldiers eventually hauled the man off the train, shouting complaints and curses. The train started moving once more, but we were somewhat delayed. Relations with my boss have deteriorated slightly. Do. Moscow, everybody. Several of our possessions could be handsomely sold here. Okay, it's 11:15 at night, so let's find a hotel. We'll pass the night here, says Monsieur Fogg. Moscow was not a comfortable city for a Frenchman. A local composer had just written a piece people were calling the 1812 Overture, commemorating the Russian victory over Napoleon, his invading Grand Armée in that fateful year. Patriotic passions were at fever pitch. But I did not let that stop me, so I stayed very sensibly indoors. Yeah, maybe it's better to stay inside if everyone's very anti-French. Alas, my friends, my solitude was quickly interrupted by an officious rap on the door. Two men in plain clothes. Hang on, give me 1 second. Okay. Two men in plain clothes. Two men in clothes so plain, that they were most certainly police officers invited themselves in. So in English we say plain clothes. A plain clothes officer is a policeman or woman not wearing a uniform, you know? They blend into the crowd. Okay, so the plainclothes have arrived. The new Tsar was a paranoid sort. I heard of the Okhrana. I don't know what Okhrana is, so we're going to go, yeah, the Tsar, the king is paranoid. The new Tsar was a paranoid type sort, so it was said, but who could blame him, having personally witnessed his father's assassination as a young man? My luck, it seemed, had deserted me, so I resolved to make my own luck. They asked me my name and purpose, and I answered deferentially. Tell the truth. Keeping to the truth and not raising my eyes from the floor, they seemed skeptical about our journey. It's a British English spelling here. Americans spell this skeptical with a K. They seemed skeptical, and I could not blame them. Anyone would be surprised by our supposed race, given it was day 18 and we were only just in Moscow. At length they nodded. One removed a curious monocle and placed it into his pocket. A monocle, yeah? It seems you are truthful. Crazy but truthful. Why you travel through Russia we do not understand. Perhaps you are heading for Vladivostok. We have considered it. What a terrible place. Perhaps you have some advice for us? Perhaps we do, the policeman agreed. Vladivostok is closed to all but military personnel. If you are thinking of going that way, choose again. They proceeded to rummage through our cases, tossing our possessions in all directions, but evidently finding nothing of interest. Do not stay in Moscow too long. Russian air does not suit Frenchmen. I took their warning to heart and quite looked forward to departing the Tsarist capital. So I want to get out of there pretty quickly, right? I'm not really welcome as a Frenchman. Okay, let's feel brave. Let's explore. I walked the streets. Hang on, I need to turn on my fan. It's getting really hot. And it's not plugged in. So I'm going to disappear for a moment. Hang on. to plug it in, everyone. Ah, air. I walked the streets a while, discovering the possibilities for how we might make progress. When are we going? Are we going tomorrow? Ah, let's sell some stuff. False passport. Forged Englishman's passport in the name of Jack Passenger. Salve of Arnica. A healing salve for tired joints and bones. A top hat. Fine Bond Street top hat lined with black plush. Bond Street in England is famous for its clothes, yeah? Cold compass, perfect for soothing aching muscles. I think we should take the passport. I think we should take some of this. And I think we should take this. Then I can pretend to be English. And sure, why not? Let's just go for this as well. We've bought everything. In the shadow of the magnificent Kremlin, a few stalls stand in the snow. Perfect. Okay, we've got loads of stuff, yeah? Our complete physical restorative set should protect against strenuous conditions. Let's go. Trans-Siberian Express, everybody. Let's negotiate. Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, tomorrow. So we can, let's find a hotel and then depart in the morning. Before going to bed, I starched the collars of our shirts. I ran a few errands. I engaged another guest in conversation. Well, we've done the laundry. I've done the errands. Let's have a chat. So I engaged another guest in conversation to find out what I could, learning that there isn't a bank to be found in Karimskia. Useful information, no doubt. Depart. Here we go. Trans-Siberian Express. Oh, wow. Okay, Siberian weather. This looks like a wearisome option, but the cold climate set should make my master more comfortable. Alright, here we go. The bell in the stuccoed and whitewashed Moscow station gave its third and final clang, and the platform erupted into frenzy. A rough-shawled peasant woman, convicts in the prison car. We boarded calmly. A peasant is like a very, very poor person, you know, like in the past, you know, like in 200 years ago, you know. Okay, we're going to get on board calmly, as the English would say, because we are gentlemen. We boarded calmly and found ourselves in a small cabin with heated water and even a shaving mirror. Let's have a chat. Greetings, Monsieur Picostin. Let us share a glass of wine together, Monsieur. Tell me about Omsk. I hear the governor of Omsk is a very important man. And what about Omsk to Vladivostok? On the subject of trains, I've heard New Orleans can be reached from San Pedro aboard the Texas and Pacific Railway. Okay. What about Vladivostok to Hong Kong? You'd have to ask my secretary, but some buyers will pay well for fur coats from Hong Kong. Okay. What about Vladivostok to Honolulu? No idea, but you can pick up wax cylinders inscribed with music in Honolulu, and you can sell for a profit in Atlanta. San Pedro, Albuquerque, Dallas, and New Orleans. We were away. I was affixed to the window the first day. I familiarized myself with the train. So the first day I'm just looking out the window, or I go and travel around the train. Now, if you're enjoying this, please like the stream, like the video, yeah, because it really helps. And if you haven't already, welcome, and please subscribe. It really helps the channel. Yeah, thank you. Now, we played a game previously. We played Hercule Poirot on the Murder on the Orient Express. So if you like, go to the playlists and you can see that game. It was quite a cool game, I thought. Okay, let's familiarize, because that was on the Orient Express train. I think we went from like Milan to London, or was it London to Milan? I don't remember. Anyway, no, it was Istanbul, wasn't it? It was Istanbul to London. I familiarized myself with the train. Let's go for a stroll. Let's go for a wander. Let's check out the train. I familiarized myself with the train's layout. The last two carriages were heavily guarded prison cars, then fourth class, then third, and so on, with amenities scattered between passenger cars. Amenities would be like the smoking room, a chapel for prayer. Everywhere was dusty and cold. Let's go and have a smoke. The smoking room was beside the dining car, plushly decked in Moorish fashion with low seats. So it's like luxurious. Yeah, I sat myself down and shared a cigar with a Russian businessman who told me that you could pick up high-grade iron ore in Karinskaya you can sell for profit in Manila. It's good to see that wherever one goes, the conversations one has are much the same. Basically, buy and sell. My bed that night swayed along. Yeah, right, you're on a train, so it's going to be like a boat, isn't it? It's going to be a movement, a rhythm to the train. So my bed swayed along with the motion of the train. We had 7 more days of this journey through the middle of nowhere at all. So, yeah, they're far from civilization. I guess, I imagine, yeah, it's a pretty desolate kind of place. Our fellow passengers were a mix of convicts, prisoners, political radicals, prospectors, businessmen, and military officers. In the midst of this was a young lady, Rosa, modestly dressed, wearing a bored expression. Let's go for the bored expression. What's up, Rosa? As she was harangued by her formidable maman. I followed her discreetly, stalking a lady on the train, and was surprised to discover her secret. She had fallen in love with a peasant boy in 4th class called Jack, though their relations at the moment were somewhat limited to sharing glances of extreme passion in the baggage car. Ah, to be so young again! Utter foolishness! I promised I would give her any aid I could to pursue her tryst. She wants to meet the boy. Let's go and help them, yeah? What else could I do? Surely it would provide some entertainment on our long voyage. We crossed the Volga in the early afternoon, crawling slowly over a bridge perched on high stone pillars. The devout Russians stood. It was a muddy, sluggish river. It was a muddy, slow, sluggish river. I'm quite sluggish in the morning when I wake up. I'm quite sluggish until I drink some coffee, yeah, like that, you know. Monday morning, yeah, that's definitely very sluggish. So it was a muddy, sluggish river clogged with floating islands of rafts, boats, and our streamers, boats, bound for the Caspian Sea. I could just hear the lilting, rhythmic, oar-beating songs of the Volga boatmen over the whistle of steamboats. A pretty busy river. Hey Lola, how's it going? Hi Lola, are you well? We're back next week. I don't know if you're on Monday or Tuesday, yeah? We have lessons. We're starting again. So I hope you're looking forward to that. We're in Russia, and we're on the Trans-Siberian Express. And I think we're going to help this girl meet her boyfriend. We crossed the Urals today at the risk of sounding like a jaded, tired, knackered traveller. I must admit that they are hardly magnificent, a heaving up of earth and forested hills for a few hundred miles. We stopped for an hour at Ekaterinburg, where I spotted the young lady. I joined the lively cavalry officers, or I persuaded Monsieur Fogg to jump off. Okay, let's go for the girl. We're going to help her meet her boyfriend. So I spotted the young lady slipping off to fourth class. Her worried mama followed soon after, demanding whether anyone had seen her daughter Rosa. I made an excuse for Rosa. I told her what I had seen. I stayed clear of her. Let's make an excuse. Let's create a diversion. I made an excuse for Rosa, gesturing discreetly in the direction of the lavatories, the bathroom. They were mixed-sex conveniences and a cause of much inconvenience, truth be told. Her mama was convinced. Her mama regarded me with suspicion, but thankfully did not outright accuse me of ungentlemanly designs upon her darling daughter. Rosa returned a half-hour hence later, cheeks flushed but otherwise unharmed. She cast me a grateful glance. I could only hope her little amour would not blossom into outright scandal. So here we are. So anyway, yeah, how's Lola? Good summer? The summer flew. Time has flown, yeah? We're back already. 1st of September on Monday. Oh my god. And I still haven't visited Benidorm. I still haven't gone there, you know? So maybe tomorrow. Time on board trains takes on a meditative quality. Time on board trains takes on a meditative quality, you know? It's very relaxing. You're almost in a meditation state, a meditative state, you know? Because there's the rhythm of the train, the sounds of the train. I suppose it's quite hypnotic. I danced like a Kazakh. I visited the library car. Yes, let's go check out the books, everyone. Fun. I visited the library car and met Golan, the daughter of a Mongol chieftain. Be still, my beating heart, the Mongols have arrived. Who was poring over a thick volume of algebra? I confessed myself surprised. I lamented my lack of mathematical skill. To lament, like, oh, damn it, I'm really bad at mathematics. I say maths. An American would say math. Yeah, so I say, like, I hate maths. And Chuck from New York would say, oh my god, I hate math. I lamented my lack of mathematical skills aloud, and she laughed. I must study algebra if I'm to be an engineer in the Imperial Army of Russia. I wish to leave behind my ancestors' warrior past. Yeah, right. No. Genghis Khan. But you have a glorious history. I replied, aghast. Golan turned a page. A glorious history for men, for war. I am going to make my own history. She folded the book closed. You have travelled, monsieur. They call us barbarians, don't they? She asked. Well, everyone calls me a barbarian as well, so you just get used to it after a while, you know? I'm a barbarian for the way I drink coffee. I'm a barbarian for the way I drink tea. And other stuff as well. I felt sorry for her and wanted to soften the truth. They do. Who are they and what do they matter? Yeah, come on, stand up for the Mongols. Who are they and what do they matter? I demanded with fine rhetoric and spirit. Your life is yours. She leaned forwards, eyes shining. The truth is, there's more going on in my country than most outsiders know. We are growing fast as a people. What do you mean? You mean territorial expansion? I was reading this thing, you know, because like the Mongols were basically nomadic, you know, and nomadic existence doesn't work. Because the Chinese weren't nomadic, you know, and like the population increased so much in China. Like, well, obviously today we see it. Whereas with the nomadic people, the Mongols, like the population didn't rise that much at all. So, you mean territorial expansion? Yay, let's go! I asked a trifle nervously, a little nervously. The Mongols are on the warpath. She leant back sharply as though stung by a bee. You are as bad as them all, she declared. You think us nothing but Genghis Khan's minions. I tried to dissuade her of the idea, but she would not relent. Finally, I left her. I had the idea of making her a gift, but nothing suitable presented itself. So in the end, I bid her farewell and returned to the more stable company of Monsieur Fogg. Alright, we're still traveling on the Steampunk Trans-Siberian Express. Alright, what's next? We arrived in Omsk today and stepped off the train in the company of a full score of British, Dutch and German merchants with military officers taking their place. I caught a brief glimpse. I turned my back on that train quite happily. I didn't enjoy it. Not like the Orient Express, everyone. And we entered the city. Alright, some of our possessions will fetch a few pounds here. Let's have a look. What's that? A brilliant emerald. The size of my fist, cut, they claim, with 1,000 faces, worth 7,000 in Pyongyang. A hammer, valuable in Karimshka, and an ushanka, a fur-lined Russian hat. Okay, what can we sell? I'm gonna keep this one. Ooh, that's not bad. Sell that. What can we sell? I want to sell 260. Let's just sell it. Now, Pyongyang. We need to go to Pyongyang, everybody. Alright, let's get out of here. Plan. Can't work it out. Alright. Beijing. Pyongyang. Okay, we're going to go to Vladivostok. We're going to go to Vladivostok, then we're going to go to Pyongyang. We're going to sell that emerald thing for £7,000. That will set us up. We'll have loads of money, and then we can go for it. Tomorrow, okay. I don't know how to do that. How do I go back? So what we need to do is find a hotel, have a little sleep. We'll pass the night here in Omsk. There was only one hotel on a large square across from a fine-looking residence. We found our room and warmed up. We strode over to the residence and knocked on the door. Hello, we are English. Let us in. We were, after all, quite the most important travellers to arrive in this important city in some time. After a while, a maid opened and peered at us through dewy eyes. We have arrived from England. We are travelling around the world. No, they would absolutely say, we're English. I announced, expecting the Empire to be our passport. Nor was I disappointed. The maid dropped a curtsy and ushered us inside, welcoming us like the great explorers we were. Although, on reflection, I think she did not understand English. I was more impressed by our manner. We learned that the house belonged to the governor of the province of the Russian steppes, a man called Buchholz. We found him reading the works of Dostoevsky, which he rapidly hid as we entered. Why? We entertained him with tales of adventures. We asked him about his region. Let's regale him with stories. We can make up some stories. And he assured us we had reached the pinnacle of adventure here in Omsk, a major hub soon, he whispered, to become an independent state in its own right. Revolution! We flattered his pride. It's the most beautiful city in the world. The food is absolutely the best. Omsk is nirvana. We flattered his pride, informing him without trace of irony that we had never seen such a beautiful churches in all our travels through Europe. Very wise move, guys. Indeed, he told us plans were afoot to bring Omsk to international importance with a Siberian exhibition of agriculture and mechanical agricultural implements. How exciting! We could have talked this way all night. I caught Monsieur's head nodding in the corner of my eye. He's falling asleep? Not from assent, but drowsiness, so we bade Buchholz farewell and good fortune. As we left, he asked where we were headed. East! Into Mongolia! Where would you advise? He thought for a moment. Vladivostok is the best way east, he declared, but you may have trouble entering. The city is closed to all but the military. I asked if he could help. And he smiled. Why not? Taking a pen and paper from his desk, he quickly filled out some military-looking papers for us. These should suffice, he said with a twinkle. And when you return to England, please remember Omsk. If something is suffice, it's sufficient. We thanked him and left him to his seditious reading and the dreams of glory. So he's just planning his little empire there, isn't he? Okay, let's go and explore a bit. Wow, it's a journey to Kabul. Omsk was the most important stop on the line between Moscow and the Siberian capital of Irkutsk, a fact we were made aware of by a signboard in 5 languages that told us about just outside the station. The source of all this importance was unclear. The town was presumably of religious importance. Let's just go for... We don't understand. It's unclear. Why is this place important? And as we walked the streets of this minor, chilly town, I must say that no obvious reason emerged. All right, we're going to Vladivostok, everybody. And then we're going to Pyongyang in North Korea, or it would be just Korea back then. Woo, choo-choo! Choo-choo-choo-choo. We boarded the Trans-Siberian Express at Omsk Station and settled into our seats. I do hope you're not spending too much passport. That money has to last all the... Oh, Jesus, we've spent a lot of money, yeah? All the way around. Okay, so we need to get to a bank, and we need to... We need to get to a bank, and we need to get to Pyongyang. Omsk, independence, hopes dashed. If something's dashed, it doesn't work. My hopes, my dreams were dashed. What day is it today? It's Friday, right? It's the 29th. Jesus. The lines are thick here and other trains pass ours frequently. Some are filled with settlers and others with soldiers. Packed, crowded, cramped into 5th and 6th class cars so closely that I wonder if they can even breathe. I stopped watching. I saw a darker train go past. Suspicious. Metal cars with iron gratings, and they seemed to cast shadows as it moved. It was a prison train, bound for somewhere, going somewhere. The criminals aboard were simply carried backwards and forwards across the mountains, always moving, never stopping. I could not watch their faces. I saw children's faces held up to the light. What about the children? The prisoners are allowed to take their families with them. Whether that is a mercy or a worse punishment for good conscience, I cannot tell. Wow, so you could bring your family to prison with you. Hey, everybody! We're going to Siberia! For how long? 2 weeks? No, for 20 years. Fogg. Oh man, it works really quickly. Jesus. No. I shaped a moustache. Excellent. Okay, so he's happy again. We crossed the halfway mark of our journey today. In the morning, we wound up the Angara Valley towards the mining camp of Irkutsk, the great city of Siberia, where some passengers were leaving to join routes south into Mongolia. Mongolia! We waited until the luggage was unloaded. Why would anyone travel in that direction? I persuaded Monsieur Fogg to disembark. Why would anybody go there? I could not fathom, I could not understand. The Russian wilderness was desolate. You know, it's empty, it's snowy, there's like no trees, it's just flat, I suppose, you know. Inhospitable, I would suggest. Why would anyone travel in that direction? I could not fathom. The Russian wilderness was desolate, but at least the train was fast. Mongolia was a desert made twice as wide by the slow animal pace of a horse's tread. Our journey continued. And by afternoon we had reached the magnificent expanse of Lake Baikal. Lake Baikal is the biggest lake in the world, or it has the most water in the world, or it's the deepest lake in the world. I can't remember. I've done this in TOEFL exams. It's a reading question, you know, and it's a really important lake. Let's go for it. Lake Baikal, no? Lake Baikal statistics. So it says. Its surface area is 31,000 kilometers, maximum depth, making it the deepest lake in the world. And look, it has 1/5 of the world's surface fresh water. Wow. So it's absolutely massive, massive lake. UNESCO World Heritage Site. Its combination of size, depth, age, and biological richness makes it globally unique and essential for freshwater research and investigation or something like that. Wow. It's massive. Looks nice though, yeah? Alright, cool. Let's go visit it. So where were we? The magnificent expanse of Lake Baikal is clear as the finest crystal, bounded by flower-banked cliffs on the western shore, and containing a thriving, raucous population of freshwater seals. Okay. So we have seawater and we have freshwater. Yeah, freshwater is what you can drink. Freshwater seals, well, I suppose they don't care. Do you know cats can drink seawater? They've got special stomachs. A cat, you can bring a cat to the beach and it can drink the ocean water, yeah? The track ended at the lake's edge, but the great train showed no signs of slowing or stopping. I began to feel, as my master would say, a little perturbed. A little bit uneasy, yeah? Something is not right. Something strange is happening. Now, my friends, this next sentence will seem to you the invention of a madman. But I assure you, it is utter, unvarnished truth. We drove straight from the shore onto the clear water of the lake. causing barely a ripple in the water. I looked out of the compartment window and saw the wheels pulled up, and zut allure! The train was hovering in the air through some unseen mechanism. So remember, this is the steampunk twist in the game, yeah? We were in another train, it was underwater, so this was flying or something. Okay, I looked for the tracks, we stretched our legs, I stayed in our carriage. Stay in the carriage. In the hold for the duration of the crossing, and had the singularly odd misfortune of experiencing seasickness in a locomotive. Wow, strange. To be seasick, you know, like in a boat. I am in roaring health, but we must make haste. From the window I watched families working at their fields, dressed in colours bright as harlequins, red and blue bodices and bright bandanas which they pulled off to wave at the train. People are strange. People are wonderful. People are wonderful. They live somewhere bleak, depressing, and then they make themselves colourful instead. Right, that makes sense, yeah? If you're living in a very drab, boring, bleak environment, yeah, maybe it's a good idea to wear, like, bright colours. Right, let's get Fogg going. Thank you for your attentions, are most beneficial. So he's back up to 91, he's doing okay. There is little to report of the outside world, so a word today on Russian eating habits. More specifically, the Russian distaste for regular meal times. I met a fellow Frenchman today who said to me, the Russian meal is a guide to the Russian character. Now, I think this is true, and I could be wrong, but before, in Europe, people would put all the food onto the table at the same time, yeah? So you'd have, like, say you're having dinner with your friends, you'd put all the food, everything is on the table. So it would be the starters, the main courses, the desserts, everything goes on the table in at the same time. And I think it's the Russians who introduced the idea of courses, you know. So first you have your soup, your starters, you know. Then comes the main courses, you know. So you have your I don't know, what do they eat? Beef, yeah, beef, I suppose. And then you'd have your beef pie, probably, or something like that is what they'd eat. And then you'd have, like, your puddings, your desserts, them, yeah? So as far as I know, this is true, it's the Russians that introduced the idea of courses. Okay, the Russian meal is a guide to the Russian character. I begged him to explain further. I made a joke about tastelessness. Tell me more, tell me more. And he obliged me. The guiding principle of the national cuisine is that all dishes must be capable of being served at any time the eater feels disposed. He sacrifices his inner susceptibilities to his love of freedom. I resolved to keep this thought in mind on future approaches to the dining car. If our locomotive suppers are not triumphs of culinary art, they are at least signal examples of logistical achievement. So maybe I got that wrong. The point is that all dishes must be capable of being served at any time. I'm not sure, but I think I'm right. I think I'm right. Alright. I'm on fine form, but we must make haste. Phileas Fogg attempts round-the-world adventure. Alright, we're still going. We pulled into Karimskaya at noon. From Karimskaya, it was possible to branch onto the Chinese Eastern Railway to Beijing, and we took advantage, but we had further to go abroad. We're kind of broke. We need to go to Vladivostok. Sorry. We're going to stay. Okay, we need to get to Pyongyang. Monsieur Fogg conceived of a desire to read an English newspaper in the morning, and so I resolved to track one down, to find one, to make my master's journey more comfortable. It was not a simple matter, however, as most English periodicals were banned or heavily censored by the Tsarist. I stole a copy from an English merchant while he was negotiating the mixed-sex lavatories, which I pressed, and then presented to my master with a flourish that evening. Relations have improved. Damn it, I want to go to Pyongyang. We reached Buzyrsk today. Vladivostok, the final destination on the Trans-Siberian Railway, is accessible only to military officials and those with special dispensation. We had our papers, so we relaxed in the smoking car and watched a certain smugness as the other passengers hefted their luggage off the train. I did not wish for a superior valet. Alright, we've arrived. We disembarked at Vladivostok. Amongst crowds of uniformed officers and soldiers, we had travelled over 5,500 miles across the spine of the Trans-Siberian, which covered 1/3 of the Earth's circumference. My nerves were jangled, but Monsieur Fogg had barely stepped onto the platform before he was already plotting the next leg, the next stage of our journey. And I think that's where we're going to leave it. I will be back tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, with the next. We'll find out. We need to get to Pyongyang because we can sell that emerald thing for like £7,000 or £8,000. So we need money. We're down to 100. Although we can go to a bank, I think, and get more money sent to us. But I think Pyongyang could be funny. Go and see Korea. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please like, subscribe. It really helps the channel, and it's a very small channel, as you can see. And I'll see you all tomorrow, probably around the same time. 9, 10, half 10, something like that, yeah? Have a great day. It's Friday. Enjoy it, and I will see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.